Okay, so I'll go over the banded variations. I do have a black one here. I think you said you have a red. The reds are a little flimsy. They will stretch really quickly. So if you can't get your hand on a green one, there are also the black one. There are also the green ones, but this might be a little bit overkill for what we're gonna do. But obviously, test it out. You can also double up a red. But with the positions we're gonna get into, that might stretch the red a little too much. It might snap or just might not be comfortable because it's gonna get to like a really end stretch position of that band and it's just gonna have too much tension. So I think a black would be perfect. So if you can get your hands on one, I think Amazon has their packs for a pretty good price. You can get one of those. So the concept is the same. We're still, don't mind my cat, he's going crazy. The concept we're gonna go for the pails and rails, and then we're gonna do those controlled articulate rotations. At first, I do want you to always start with those. So controlled articulate rotations, we're gonna do essentially an internal and external rotation at full flexion and extension. And then each time, if you're starting with the externally rotated coming into flexion, after you do 5 or 10 of those, I want you to rotate inward and come into flexion. Sometimes if you want to do a little bit extra, if you want to go a step ahead, you can kind of stay in that middle range and just get some rotations there. Just kind of push past as much as you can to that end range, and then this side as much you can past that end range without moving anywhere else. So we're gonna do overhead. There's two ways we can do this. You can kind of stay seated, hooked around your ankle. You can come over your head like this, depending on the stretch of your band, depending on any discomfort you have in your shoulder, thoracic, neck, anywhere we can adjust. But if you want to take it a step further, you can stand up. Same idea, you can come in this position up here. And what I want you to focus on is making sure you're not too bent over with your back, kind of staying nice and neutral. Again, make sure it's hooked around on the front side of your foot, because if it's only hooked on your heel, it can slip and we all know what that's gonna feel like. So once you're up here, there's a couple things you wanna do. Make sure you're nice and comfy. You can put your hand on this elbow to make sure it doesn't kind of do anything funky. You can rest it on this shoulder if that helps you kind of pull this shoulder in so it's not kind of out here. You can kind of bring that inward nice and easy. And what else could you do? I think that's about it. If seated is too easy, standing is too difficult, you can also kind of put your foot on something as long as the band doesn't fly out. So you could have it something like this. So play with that. I do want it to be at a range where you can't easily press. Like me right now, I can kind of press this up to here easy, but you can see I'm gonna start to shake. Like I can press it all the way if I want to, but I don't want that to be the case for you either. So I don't want you to be able to press really easily. And so what we're gonna do after you do your card, you're gonna hang out here for about, I would say, a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes. If you feel like it's really uncomfortable, I want you to stay in this position for longer so that you can build that comfort, build up your breathing, nice and comfy. And then once you find a position that's comfy, either hand on the elbow, hand on the shoulder, I want you to start building up that pressure. But again, there's 3 ways we can do it. We can do a neutral grip, we can do your palm facing down, or we can do palm facing up. It's the same idea as with a tricep extension. You have your V-bar, you have the ropes, you have a flat bar, kind of the same idea. Depending on the rotation of the forearm, there are the muscles that connect to the elbow joint here. So you're gonna either be focusing a little bit more on the lateral side or the anterior side. So once we're up here, kind of pick which one you want to do. You can do kind of the same thing for each wrist position, 3 sets. And then I want you to slowly start to build that pressure, 10%, 20%, 30%. Between each 10%, I want you to spend about 3 to 5 seconds. So 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20, 2, 3, 4, 5, 30. You see I'm gonna start shaking now. 3, 4, 5, 40, 50, 60, and all the way to 70. Once we get to that 70, you'll see I'm shaking. If you find when you get to the higher percentage, this arm is drifting out, just bring it in, keep that tension, stay nice and focused. Once you get to 70, we're gonna spend about 10 seconds here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then when you're done, we need to now do the opposite direction of it. And when we're overhead, that's gonna be nearly impossible. So I want you to rotate back around. And now I want you to do 70% of your strength, 10 seconds, pulling this band up in the same grip that you had before. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, I want you to play with the band a little bit. Understand where your 70% is gonna feel like up top. And I want you to mimic that same tension when you're gonna do this 10 seconds. So that if you feel like you gotta pull this arm out, if you gotta hook this on a squat rack, if you're doing this at a gym, so that you have the right amount of tension here to do that 70% on the regressive side when you're doing your pails and rails. So that's one for overhead. You can also do it seated. It's gonna be same idea. So you would do 10%, 20, 30, 40, and 50. So that's overhead. We did one sitting down with an extension, kind of like a tricep push down. Same concept as what I just showed you with the overhead. You could do it as kind of like a lateral extension. I don't have something to hook this onto here, but if let's say you were at the gym, you would hook this behind you on like a squat rack or something, and same idea. Neutral grip, palm out, palm in, same idea. You wanna have an isometric contraction to the outside. And then when you wanna do the regressive, you would just kind of turn inward towards the thing you've got this anchor to and start to pull inward for that 10 seconds. Same idea, 10, 20, 30, 40, up to 70%, about 3 to 5 seconds between each 10%, 10 seconds at the top, flip, 10 seconds at the reverse. And before you do any of these, as kind of like your warm-up, just like if you're gonna bench, you know, you warm up your shoulder, I want you to do 10 of the cars, and I want you to do 10 of the one way and then 10 of the other way. So if you're flexing with external rotation, I want you to start flexing with the internal rotation. So that's your routine there. Another version we can do that actually really mimics your benching is gonna be doing it on the ground. So the concept again is the same. We wanna get into the same position as if you were gonna bench. So what you can do is kind of figure out, okay, do I bench like this? Do I bench a little kind of closer? Am I a wide bencher? I want you to have that same position on the ground here. And what I'm gonna show you on the ground, you technically could do it this way as well, but it's gonna be a little bit difficult because you're gonna need some sort of weight on you that you can't press, and that's gonna be really difficult because it's like, how are you gonna load it? You know, how are you gonna take it off? It's just not nice. I mean, you could just do floor presses with a delayed eccentric as just kind of like a muscle building exercise, but what I'm about to show you is gonna be better on the ground. Get into that position as if you've got your bench. Now, there isn't really too many grip variations that you can do this with. Really, it's only gonna be kind of palm up. You could do a little bit palm out, but that's not gonna make that much of a difference. So same idea, I want you to be in this position. Start building up tension from your 10%, 20, as if you wanna do this, but you're not. So you got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. You wanna feel like you're trying to open up this elbow gap, but you can't because you're stuck here, and you want to drive that pressure through the palm of your wrist. And you got 30, 40, 50, 60 to the 70. You're going to hold for that 10 seconds. And then this is the tricky part, because we're seated on the ground and we're applying pressure this way, the opposite is going to be pulling it up. So we're going to need those bands again, and I want you to stand up. Same grip as if you were gonna be benching. And I want you to do that 10% isometric hold. I hope I'm in the frame of the other direction. The timing is the same, 10, 20, 30 to 70%. 10% hold at the top. Switching to the regressive side, 10-second hold at the 70% instant flip. 2 to 3 pails and rails for each like wrist orientation, and you can do about 3 sets in total for each variation that I showed you. So there's the overhead, there's this, and there's this one as well. Let me know.